That was incredible. The women's 800 freestyle lived up to the hype. Going into the 2025 World Championships, it was easily the most highly anticipated race for so many people, myself included. Here, we saw the rising legend Summer McIntosh try and take down the established legend Katie Ledecky in her own territory, the 800 freestyle. Already this year in this event, we've seen Ledecky break her own 9-year-old world record, as well as McIntosh not long after come within a second of that time. This race was the heavyweight matchup during these World Championships, the defending veteran versus a young challenger, and it would be decided in a very fast and strategic race over 16 lengths of the pool. The tone for this race was set right away on the first 50, as Ledecky managed to grab a small lead at the first turn, as McIntosh and Lani Pallister were tied for second. Lani Pallister already had some major improvements this year at the Australian team trials, and then continued to improve in a lot of events so far at these World Championships. And in one of the events where she didn't improve, in the 1500 freestyle, she really went for it, going out with Ledecky and chasing her, staying with her for a lot of the race before she eventually fell off of that blistering pace. All the way through the lead up of this race, the table had been set for two, McIntosh and Ledecky. Well, Pallister just went and brought her own seat to the table, because after that opening 50, she did not go anywhere. At the 100-meter turn, Ledecky had already extended her lead a tiny bit over McIntosh and Pallister as they hung with her, and these three had at this early point in the race put over a full second between themselves and the rest of the field. Over the next 500 meters of racing, these three swimmers stayed locked together as Ledecky maintained her narrow lead, with McIntosh and Pallister on either side of her not letting her escape. And during these time, all three of these swimmers had splits that were very similar to one another. In fact, during this time, it was always either McIntosh or Pallister that had the fastest split in the field, with Ledecky often threading the needle between those two. After the 600-meter mark, it looked like Summer McIntosh was starting to make her move, as she outsplit Ledecky by a few tenths and had a narrow lead at the 700-meter mark. And this was actually the first time in the entire race where the order of the top swimmers was not Ledecky, McIntosh, Pallister. After 7 minutes of these three being in a deadlock, there was only 100 meters left in the race. It would come down to everybody's final leg. Right away, off of the 700-meter wall, Ledecky took that lead position back away from McIntosh, and then gradually extended it into that final turn to give herself a quarter of a second lead for the final 50. Meanwhile, McIntosh had extended her lead over Pallister. Over the final 50 meters, Ledecky stormed away from McIntosh, leaving her in her wake, and so did Lani Pallister. Ledecky and Pallister increased the lead down the home stretch, but at the end, the race ended up the same as always, with a Katie Ledecky gold. Ledecky touches first with a time of 8:05.62. Pallister has a huge lifetime best for second with an 8:05.98, and McIntosh holds onto the bronze medal with an 8:07.29. That field was ridiculously fast and saw a ton of records broken as well. First of all, Ledecky breaks her own championship record of 8:07.39, and all three medalists were faster than that championship record as well. Lani Pallister absolutely torches her own Oceanic and Australian records of 8:10.84. Before this year, only Katie Ledecky had ever broken 8:10 before. Then McIntosh joined the club, and now so has Pallister, and by a country mile. Also setting a new record was 4th place finisher Simona Quadarella with a time of 8:12.81. She breaks the European record of 8:14.10 set by Rebecca Adlington in 2008, a time that was the world record when it was set. Ledecky, McIntosh, and Pallister remain the top three performers of all time. Pallister is just a lot faster now, and Quadarella jumps up to number 5. If we look at the three fastest performances ever, we can see just how crazy fast this heat was, as these are now the 4th, 6th, and 10th fastest swims in this event's history. Katie Ledecky continues her insane legacy of dominance with a win over the fastest field that this event has ever seen. So just how did she do it? Normally, this is the part where I break down the splits in detail, but I think that's a smaller part of the story this time around, and you can see them right here anyways. But there is one thing that I do want to highlight, the fact that Ledecky only had 2 splits that were the fastest in the field, and interestingly, they were the first 100 and then the last 100. The bigger piece of the story is the overall strategy that Ledecky used to pull this off. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly what her plan was, only Ledecky does. But between things that she said after the race and how the race played out as a whole, I think we can make a pretty safe guess. Ledecky said that she knew going into the race that the back half was where she was going to need to execute, as well as the fact that before the race, Coach Anthony Nesti told her to trust in all the Friday afternoons, which Ledecky explained is when they do their over-distance training sets. As we saw, Ledecky took control of this race right away from the very first 50 and then held on to that control. This allows her to set the pace of the race and maybe push it somewhere uncomfortable that the other swimmers just can't handle. If Ledecky is trusting those long-distance training days, then she should be able to hold on to this blistering pace and deal with the searing pain better than anybody else. I mean, this is the furthest distance that McIntosh actually swims. Ledecky and Pallister go up to 1500, and in that 1500, Ledecky played this exact same game with Pallister, and it worked out there. And apparently, Ledecky was having an absolute blast doing this, because it looked like she was all smiles during the race. There was a moment going into the 650-meter turn where I knew that Ledecky was about to strike gold. Take a look at Summer McIntosh. Look at all of that white water behind her. Now take a look at Ledecky. Distance swimmers usually only bring their legs into it and really start kicking during their final push. We see Ledecky do that during the final 100 meters. Here, Ledecky is holding off McIntosh without using her final kick while McIntosh is, and making McIntosh bring her legs into it that much sooner definitely made her get tired way faster. In fact, we can see that in action on the final 50, because while Lani Pallister had the fastest closing 50 with a 29.11 and Ledecky the second fastest closing 50 with a 29.53, McIntosh had the slowest with a 30.95, and I mean the slowest out of all 8 swimmers. With this win, Ledecky has now won her 7th world title and has won gold during the 2012 Olympics, during the 2013 and 2015 World Championships, during the 2016 Olympics, during the 2017 and 2019 World Championships, during the 2021 Olympics, during the 2022 and 2023 World Championships, during the 2024 Olympics, and now during the 2025 World Championships. That is 11 straight titles on the world's biggest stage in the 800 freestyle, and the only thing missing here, and the reason why it's not her 7th straight world's gold, is a gold medal during the 2024 Doha World Championships, where Ledecky did not attend like a lot of top swimmers because it was in February of an Olympic year. This is definitely the most ridiculous streak in swimming history, and probably one of the most insane streaks in just sports history. This was just a fantastic race to watch from start to finish. I was on my feet the entire time. I mean, that's because I was watching it in the back room at work, but still. Fast races are always fun to watch. Close races are always fun to watch. When they're both, that's just special. What did you think about this race in the 800 freestyle? Did you think that McIntosh was going to finally snap Ledecky's streak, or did you have her winning it all along? And how fast do you think McIntosh is going to go in the 400 IM on the final day of competition? Let me know down below.